the medicine are pretty comparable. The harm of the treatment and the harm of the medicine are pretty comparable. In this case, it may even be disliked because if the medicine causes harm and benefit that are comparable, then we in Islam say, دفع المفسدة مقدم على جلب المصلحة. To avoid harm takes precedence over bringing about good. So if this medicine has, good and bad effects and they are equal, in this case, it is more prudent to not take the medicine because to avoiding harm, it takes precedence over bringing about good. But let's say that the medicine does have side effects, and at the same time, let's say, for instance, and just to make it a little bit more practical and a little bit more tangible for you, if someone has terminal cancer and they're just trying to buy him a few days, as they say, and certainly no one buys any days. If you're tired, it's your time, it's your time. But let's say they are saying they're trying to buy him a few days. That person who has a terminal cancer has kids, and he doesn't have insurance, and they just keep on asking him for money, and then he's gonna, become broke at one point and leave this life without any backing for his financial backing or anything left for his kids. Would that person then be permitted to say, no, I don't need to be, I would not seek treatment, this treatment. I don't think that the benefit of the medicine is that huge, or in our Muslim treaty will change the course of disease, and at the same time it does have side effects, and at the same time it will make me broke, and at the same time it will make me leave my kids unsupported. In this case, he is permitted to say, no, I am not going to seek treatment. So it is permissible for him to seek treatment and permissible for him to abstain from treatment. Then it becomes disliked, treatment becomes disliked when there is many of these factors. It is a medicine that is doubtful that it will work, it has side effects, it will leave him broke, and so on. Then it becomes disliked to the point of becoming impermissible if the medicine is haram, such as wine and so on, because you can't use haram medications. Because Allah did not make your cure in that which He forbade for you. Allah did not make your cure in that which He forbade for you, like wine, for instance. So treatment in this case could be permissible, preferable, mandatory, or disliked to the point of forbidden. So in the case of this persistent vegetative state, treatment in any, I think that if we consider this feeding through a feeding tube to be a type of treatment, this whole class is for you, right? If we consider this to be a type of treatment, then it will, I will comfortably say that treatment in this case is disliked. What is the point? What is the benefit? You have someone who has no awareness whatsoever and no capacity to do anything, no responsiveness, no awareness, no responsiveness. Why are you doing this to her? And why are you doing this to her household? For many, many years, people keep on going back and forth. I mean, when you die, you don't vanish. For us Muslims, you should have good thoughts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But death is not the black hole. Death is the beginning of the better life, and the greater life, and the immortal life, and so on. That does not mean that we are nihilists. No, we're not nihilists. That does not mean that we do not preserve life. No, we do. It is untrue. We do preserve life. Life is very sacred for us, and we do preserve life. But it means that if we will take what is meant to happen with pleasure, with rida, or at least patience. So in this case, the persistent vegetative state will not need to be treated. Now, to go back to the issue of brain death, that is different from persistent vegetative state where your brain cortex or the outermost layer of the brain dies. That is when your brain stem actually dies, and then your heart is not beating except by the ventilator. Should we then consider this to be death? Most of the countries, most of the Western countries now consider this to be death. In the United States of America, I think there is 48 to 49 states that would consider this as death. New Jersey does not, because of certain religious groups lobbying the Supreme Court of the state. But it is considered death in most of the Western countries. Is it considered death according to the Muslim scholars? We have two different fiqh assemblies. One of them considered it to be death, and the other one did not consider it to be death. So it's quite a controversial issue. It seems to me that it is not the death that is the final death, but it seems to me that when this is something that they agreed upon, or almost all the scholars agreed upon, at least the two consensus statements of the two different fiqh assemblies, the one that belongs to the OIC, Organization of Islamic Conference, and the one that belongs to Rabitat al-Alam al-Islami, the Muslim League, the statement of the two fiqh assemblies said that it would be allowable to take off life support in this case. It is allowable to take off life support because basically this is a dead person. This is a person that the doctors would agree, the doctors they have certain procedures that they have to follow in order for them to make certain that this person is brain dead. But then once they have followed the procedures and they told the scholars this person is brain dead, the scholars should proceed with declaring the permissibility of taking off the life support. And that is close to consensus of the Muslim scholars. Now, when does he actually die? When can we actually call him dead? Is it from the time his brain died, or is it from the time you took off the life support and the heart stopped thereafter by a few minutes? And the difference in this case would be what? Practically speaking, why are we making a big deal of this? What's the practical difference? Such as the consequences of death is right, but such as
the waiting period for the wife, for example.
The waiting period for the wife, yes.
Legacy.
But this would make a difference for the waiting period for the wife in one case. If she delivered after the brain death and before the cessation of heartbeats. If you consider brain death to be brain death, then she does not have any waiting period, because after her husband died, she delivered. And by delivery, her waiting period ends. Right? But in other cases, it will not make much of a difference if the difference is minutes, if the difference is like half an hour or 45 minutes or less or a little more, it will not make much of a difference for her either. Except in certain other, like very weird conditions. But that is true. The idda is one thing, the waiting period. But the thing that is even bigger is inheritance. If someone else of his household or his heirs died, his relatives died, between brain death and the cessation of heartbeats, who inherits who? If we say that brain death is death, then the other person will inherit that brain dead person. And if we say that brain death is not death until the cessation of heartbeats, then he will inherit the person who died after his brain death and before the cessation of his heartbeats. And then does this make a big difference? It could make a difference of millions of dollars for some people. So don't think that this is a trivial issue. It could make a difference of millions of dollars, because if the wealth goes this way, it will go to those people, and if it goes this way, it will go to